And welcome. My name is Pam Dunwald. I am one of your nurse advocates, and we are with Your Nurse Advocate Consulting, and we are also sharing this. This is such an important topic. We're also going to share this on our patient advocate match, our directory of healthcare services. So we're really super excited to have Sylvia Reisman here. She is a patient advocate, and her company is Purity Patient Advocates. And so Sylvia, welcome. I just want to say we are so happy to have you this morning to be able to share some of your expertise and just why people need an advocate and what got you started. So let's go ahead and jump in. So Sylvia, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into patient advocacy.
Sure. Thank you, Pam. First of all, my practice is actually based just north of Atlanta. I can help people virtually in almost any state. How I got started. So going back to the late 90s, I actually was originally an advocate for both my parents. My father was a 5-year survivor of pancreatic cancer. And so in the early days of the internet, I was researching on the Johns Hopkins board because, of course, pancreatic cancer, is not a good diagnosis. Usually has a dismal outcome, but he was a 5-year survivor. And I wanted him to have choices. Fast forward to back in 2006, I was living in the Tampa Bay area. I became mysteriously ill and knew something was terribly wrong. Ran from doctor to doctor within my insurance network in the Tampa area, Tampa Bay, as well as I went back to Savannah, Georgia, which is where I grew up, and saw doctors in Savannah, the Atlanta area, because I previously lived in the Atlanta area. And so I saw over 20 doctors, about 23 doctors over the course of 5 years in trying to get a correct diagnosis. At the 5-year mark, I self-diagnosed through a highly specialized test that determined I had Lyme disease. And the physician who I brought the test kit to in Florida actually misinterpreted the test results, which I hate to say it, but I expected it because he'd never run the test before. So I actually called the lab company in California and spoke to the owner at the time, which was around 2011. And he said, yes, you are positive for Lyme disease. So 5 years, 20-something doctors, and it shouldn't take anyone that long. And so that's where that became my driving force to start my own patient advocate practice, because we have so many people being misdiagnosed at the doctor's office, and it's growing because of the time constraints within a doctor's appointment and the way our healthcare system is set up, fragmented, so that you're running from specialist to specialist and no one is putting your puzzle together when you are a complex case.
What a wonderful reason to take on advocacy and to try and help and serve others, not to have to go through the things that you did. So Sylvia, tell us a little bit about who you serve. Who is your ideal client? Who do you like to help?
Sure. So Pam, I have two sides to where I really enjoy helping people getting to the bottom of what's going on. So first of all, is the complex side because of what I went through. And for those individuals, again, they may have run from doctor to doctor. They may have even received a diagnosis or multiple diagnoses, and they're either not getting better. They may have be under the care of multiple physicians who have tried to treat them with various medications, and they're not seeing improvement. And a lot of these individuals were very active in meaning, athletic, just active. They can be young. They could be 25. They could be 65. And they know something is wrong because they know their body. And so those individuals are lost their quality of life and they want it back. And so if they come to me, I have an in-depth assessment that I developed as a result of what I went through, as well as learning from some of the top integrative and functional medicine physicians in the country. I put this together, and it's designed to identify and uncover areas that may have been overlooked by the physicians that this client has previously seen, again, due to the time constraints in an appointment. And so those areas are identified within the assessment. It's like an interview. It's like me interviewing you. It could take anywhere from 3 to 5 hours for us to go through the assessment. And then the outcome of that is that I put together a plan of action that includes the areas that have been uncovered that my client may wish to explore, as well as a detailed timeline of their history. of their health history. And so that's the one side that I like to help. And then I can help execute that plan of action with them by helping them research for physicians and navigating them to physician or physician specialists to help them get to the root cause of what's going on, because that's why they're coming to me. And then the other side would be someone who could be in what I call the sandwich generation, where we have millions of people who have parents who may be transitioning in life. They may be living independently and now their health may be slowly, they're seeing changes. Could be that they have mobility issues. It could be that they've been diagnosed with a condition or they're managing a condition. And that person may live alone, but the grown children may live local, just be busy with life, with their family and work, or they could live in another state. And so I'm here to help them, again, conduct an in-depth history with their parent or loved one, or it could be somebody living alone. It doesn't have to be someone's parent. It could be someone who's 45 and living alone. And again, they have health issues or they're concerned, is my diagnosis correct? They might be questioning their diagnosis. They need someone to help prepare for the appointments. That's me. I prepare, attend the appointments, whether it's local or virtual through telehealth. I'm there to be their voice and ensure they understand that they have, if there's options, treatment options, that I can research for that. But I also research for physicians. And again, the communication facilitator, because that's important that all the doctors know what's going on, because doctors don't have time and they're not talking to each other. And so that's the other side of what I do.
Thank you. That's awesome. And it is so needed. The service is so needed, which brings me to my next question. Patient advocacy has been around for many years, but since COVID and since accessing our doctors and our clinics and our hospitals has gotten so much worse since COVID, advocacy has really come to light. So, Sylvia, can you share some examples of how advocacy can make a difference, or where an instance where advocacy could really step in and help?
Absolutely, Pam. So first of all, I want to step back for a second and say that being proactive is critical, because I think as just our population in general, we're almost trained to be reactive, and our healthcare system is being reactive with us. We have, on the average, and this number is coming from a pharmacist who I know well, who's written a book, that she said, Donna Bartlett has said that 750 people land in the hospital every day as a result of medication interactions. And so I just want to throw that out, because part of my model is preventing my clients from ending up in the hospital, and that's by being proactive with them. So as an example of where that could be critical is a case that some of you may be aware of, about a young lady. She's now 17. She was 10 at the time. Her name's Maya. Right now, the Take Care of Maya trial is going on in Sarasota County, Florida. And this is at the time, this young lady, she was 10 back in 2016. She had a complex illness called complex regional pain syndrome, which is a rare condition, extremely rare in children. It's rare in adults, but more rare in children. Her mother was a highly intelligent, educated nurse. And in her case, again, as any mother would want to do, in addition to the fact that she was a nurse, she was trying to be her daughter's best advocate. But whether you have nursing or you're a physician, you're a clinician, when you're emotionally invested with a family member or a loved one when they are sick, this is when you need an independent patient advocate more than ever. Because unfortunately, in the case of Maya's family, the mother took her life. And as a result of this, totally was out of control. This case went out of control, with the child, Maya, being held in the hospital for almost 3 months, with the Department of Family and Children's Services was involved. A social worker at the hospital was involved, all trying to make the mother look like she was crazy and trying to hurt her child, which was, just nothing further from the truth. And so now it's a major trial, excuse me, where the family is suing Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital for $220 million. And this never had to happen because if an independent advocate were there before all this became an emergency, they could have easily been able to collect the facts, collect the medical records, collect the facts, investigate the concerns of the client, which would have been Maya's family and her mother, and then would have been able to contact the independent physicians who were involved in Maya's care, who were the ones who diagnosed her and had been treating her, and collaborate a meeting with the hospital leadership. And this could have been stopped. This is a horrible case that should have never happened. And so this is an example of being able to be proactive, being able to stop, this from happening. And Maya's mother might still be here. And Maya may have never been held in the hospital for 3 months. So now this family has long-term psychological damage, post-traumatic stress disorder, and just a whole host of things. It's very alarming and it's very sad, and it shouldn't have happened.
And having an independent patient advocate come alongside that mom and help share her, speak for her and be her voice, and looking at this would have allayed those fears of that mom trying to do. I mean, how can a mom be judged for trying to hurt their child when all they're trying to do is get them help? So there's no way of knowing for sure if we could have, prevented mom from taking her life as an advocate, but it sure would have put a third party in place, and that could have made a whole, all the difference in the world. So
absolutely,
that's it's an extreme example of advocacy, but that's how bad it can get, and that's the importance. Is there any other kind of examples, maybe a little less serious, maybe that you could give some examples?
Absolutely. So yeah, I've been working with a client the past several months who came to me who had multiple diagnoses, and he actually had been under the care of multiple various physicians, both conventional and functional. And, he had not been getting better, and he was a very active person. I mean, he has a family, young children. If you looked at him, you go, wow, he looks great. He what I call invisibly ill, which we have millions of people who are invisibly ill. And this is, like I said, he's highly intelligent, has a great job, and but he's very ill. And so in his case, he realized at that point, because he actually ended up in the ER, which again, that's what I'm saying is for people, don't wait until it gets to that point. And so for his case, I worked with him on the in-depth assessment, and we spent approximately 5 hours. We're able to uncover areas that had not been explored, which, and then in turn, he actually has traveled here to the Atlanta area 3 times since, I think, the end of July. And, I've navigated him to one of the top specialists in the country for one of his pieces of his puzzle, and have been able to, get him correctly diagnosed for one of the big pieces of his puzzle that has been probably causing him issues for years. So this is a case again that if he would have just kept going on his own, odds are he was not going to uncover this. And so he felt that the assessment was extremely beneficial. And he's been very pleased, and I'm still working with him because he's got multiple pieces to his puzzle. But this is a case where, again, he wanted his quality of life back. He wants to be able to work out. He has young children. He's a young guy. So this is the case again that he's busy. He's very busy with his job and his life and his family. And he needed someone to be able to, to be his trusted advisor, to be the person who could help him get to the right care so that he could get the correct diagnosis and treatment plan.
Well, kudos to you, Sylvia. And you can certainly hear the passion in your voice that, in helping these people navigate the healthcare system and get answers. So how would someone get a hold of you as far as wanting to reach out if they would like to use your services?
Absolutely, Pam. You could either email me at Sylvia, which is spelled S-Y-L, B as in Victor, I-A, at Purity Patient advocates with an S on the end.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn under Sylvia Reisman, which my last name is Reisman. I'm also on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, which is Purity Patient Advocates, LLC. And I have an Instagram page, which is at Purity Patient Advocates. And of course, you can Google me. My website is Purity Patient Advocates with an S on the end.com. And that's probably the best way to get in touch with me.
And I will, for those of you that are going to be looking at this video in the future and seeing the replay, I will have all that information in the video details. So we will have all those ways for you to be able to get a hold of Sylvia. So Sylvia, as we wrap up today, is there anything that we haven't covered, or is there something important that you feel that we haven't talked about that you'd like to say before we wrap up today?
I think I'd just like to stress again that I do navigate strictly to physician offices and not to hospitals. But depending on your particular situation, if you live in another state, in most states I can help people virtually. As far as I research for physicians, and if it's someone complex and they've already been to several and they're not getting anywhere, several physicians, like I said, I research for physicians in and out of network, because in many cases you have to go out of network if you haven't been able to find answers in network. But just want to make sure that I can provide virtual services in most states for individuals. And that, again, as an independent patient advocate, I work directly for my client. I do not report to an insurance company or a hospital. So I look out for your best interests. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to help the way I'm able to help. So and also one last thing is that if you are working for an employer, and if you have a health savings account, an HSA account, you may be able to utilize the funds to pay for my services. But I cannot tell you directly that you can. I always encourage my clients to reach out to their human resources manager, their benefits administrator, or if you're comfortable, if you have a CPA, to discuss that with them.
Thanks, Sylvia. And, and that's really important that you brought up the fact of being an independent patient advocate, because oftentimes you can get a nurse navigator or someone along that same line as what we do as independent patient advocates. And you can get that through the insurance company. You can often get that through the clinic. But again, they are employed by a clinic, employed by a hospital, employed by an insurance company. So at the end of the day, they have to follow the guidelines that's put out by whatever that entity is. And that's such the important difference from those of us that are independent, is that we don't report, we are not held accountable to any entity except our client, which means that gives us 100% autonomy to be able to advocate for them and look out for them without having to worry about making another entity happy with our services. So I think that's a really, really important piece, Sylvia, that you shared there. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you for everyone that's watching this video, and please take what Sylvia said to heart, because independent patient advocates certainly have a place, especially when you're struggling with navigating the healthcare system or not feeling like you're getting the answers that you deserve. There is help out there. So please don't hesitate to reach out, and reaching out sooner versus later is always the best option. So with that being said, I just want to again thank Sylvia so much for coming and sharing her story and sharing what she does and sharing the great news of independent patient advocacy. So with that being said, we'll say take care, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you so much for having me.